Hey everyone, it's Zach Dewhurst with Deco Experts. And today's podcast topic is how to diversify your business through different streams of revenue. My guest today is Hunter Strine of Maryland Print House. Hunter has been in the industry for many years. He does a lot of different things within the custom decoration industry, makes money a lot of different ways, and has got a lot of great information to share with us on how he manages his business and has actually grown it during the last year during the crazy pandemic. So to start, I'm going to introduce Hunter. Hunter, if you can tell us a little bit about your business, Maryland Print House.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, Zach. I appreciate it. DecoNetwork has been great to us, and I think this is awesome what you're doing. So, so I started in the industry I started screen printing like 10 years ago for myself on the side, and I built a press actually with my dad. My dad built the press. So I started screen printing then, and I was a sophomore in high school. And, kind of over time through college, I played soccer in college and started printing for other people. And through that, I started to realize that there was a market for influencers. I started one of my companies, Creators Label. And from there, I kind of realized how much opportunity I had. I had grown that business very quick. And I told my parents, look, I'm done. So I dropped out of college as a sophomore and quit soccer and pursued it full time. That was in 2016. And from there, I kind of realized like all my print partners up to this point sucked, and I wanted to kind of control that part of the business. So we opened Maryland Print House. I opened it with my two partners, Andrew Bergamaschi and Andrew Boone, one in sales, one in production, and then me. And the goal was to print for our sister companies, one of which is Every Locker and Creators Label. And so Maryland Print House was born to really do that at first. And then obviously just through the name, and we knew our main goal was to build a B2B company, providing quality products to customers that needed, custom products. But we had a main focus on quality. And we're not going to sell somebody a Gildan. We're not going to, just sell them on the cheapest item. We're going to work with them to figure out what fits their brand, what fits their company best. And we're going to sell them what we feel as the professionals is best for them. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. Maryland Print House was started in 2018. I think I said that, but yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
And when you hire, you're not hiring based on youth, but I mean, you can typically get a lot of passion, a lot of people who haven't built bad habits and so forth and so forth. When you are hiring those employees, what is the first quality you look for in an employee, team member?
So our hiring process is pretty simple. Like to be honest, depending on the role, like I hardly read a resume. But the first thing I'll do is I'll look at Facebook and I'll see if they're, are they out doing hood rat shit with their friends? Like, what are they doing?
Yep.
And if they seem like they actually care about what they want to do, then we'll bring them in, we'll talk to them. But I'm really looking for passion. I want to see somebody, I want to talk to somebody that has the same goals that I have. And enjoy the startup phase of business. I miss the old days of Maryland Print House sometimes. It's just, building the business has always been the funnest. But at the same time, like if I can help an employee follow their dreams, like that's the goal, right? We're here to help each other. They're making my dreams come true, and I'm going to do my best to make theirs come true. And so we have a lot of great benefits as well, including profit sharing, including all of those things. But yeah, I mean, the most important thing I look at is, are you legit and are you passionate? And if you have both of those things, I'm sure we can make something work. And you might just get hired even if we're for not that position. We make one for you, because it's really hard to come by.
Yep. Yeah. I've always, you hire passion and work ethic and you train skill often.
Correct.
And
the sad reality is like degrees don't mean anything as much anymore. Like, I was just on a podcast the other day talking about this, and it's really a tough situation, because your people are coming in with degrees, and they have to break a minimum pay, and
Yep.
it's like, you haven't done anything. You've went to school, and the sad part is, like, what you've learned in school, it doesn't apply. Even art, like, Illustrator, like, it's so hard to find somebody that has an understanding on the industry level.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so if you're coming out of school with this degree, it doesn't equal better pay. And it's a really tough situation we're in, and it's really the schooling system's fault. And it's really unfortunate, but yeah, that's the harsh reality.
Before the pandemic hit, how many employees did you have?
I don't remember what I told you. I don't remember. I think it was like 13, 14, something like that.
How many do you currently have?
No, I'm sorry. It was 11. We have 15 now, 2 sales reps, so 17.
And during the past year, when the world turned upside down, you actually brought on more people. Obviously, everyone had to pivot in some way. Yeah, masks. How many masks do you approximately think you printed last year?
Printed, I think like maybe 100,000. I know we sold like 350 to 400,000 masks altogether, units.
And when the pandemic first hit, how quickly, as soon as it was like, hey, we're about to shut down, we got to start wearing these things. I remember being on the DecoNetwork Facebook group and immediately seeing, look, Hunter's printing masks before everybody else. And it
was
did
April
seem
6th.
like each week it was like insane, just trying to get the product and so forth. How many different mask types do you think you printed over the past year?
Well, let me say this. So April 6th is when we built maskus.com in one day. We sat down and we were like, dude, we're taking too long to do this. Like we thought about it before. It was on me. I was like, man, this isn't going to turn into this, is it? And my partner's like, dude, like every day goes by and we're not doing it. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I cranked it out. We built the Shopify store in a day, and that was April 6th. So from there on, that's when we started. But as far as how many different masks, so we set out to make our own at the beginning, early stage of this, because we knew that supply was going to be a problem, and we wanted to stay consistent. So we bought sewing machines, and I never had sewn anything in my life, and I started to sew our first sample, and I sewed it myself, actually. And so from there, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't like sewing, and I'm not going to be able to do this at scale. And I definitely wouldn't have been able to do 300,000 of them. That's for sure. And being in Maryland, it's hard to find sewers. So like we don't have like sewing houses like you have in LA. So it was really challenging. Like we were trying to find local suppliers with our schematic, all of that. And so that didn't work. So we ended up just, we made our own schematic. We flew to LA. We opened a factory with a strategic partner of ours that also does printing out in LA. And we opened the factory, and we could do everything we needed to do: custom PMS, custom masks, custom colors, whatever. We picked up some really large accounts through selling masks. And so it was important that we had our own factory. We knew we had capacity, because at the beginning, the real problem was capacity. Like you could only crank out 5,000 masks a day in a factory. And it was like, dude, like we need more than that. How are we going to get more than that? Because not only are we stocking our retail site, which we sold a ton of masks through that, but we're also fulfilling custom orders for clients. And so we made our own, and then eventually, I worked with Ryan at Ryonet, and we started selling those. We actually won the top seller of all masks, which was really cool. We got to donate like 1,000 masks to local police departments, fire departments, stuff like that. But yeah, so we started to bring on some. We never actually really like sat down and brought on any of the ones that are out now, because like it had slowed down by the time like everybody got to market, like S&S and all those guys like got everything on there, and we had our bread and butter. We were able to manipulate our masks through 3 versions which started with the USA V2. And if you go on massus.com, you can see that. But it started with the USA V2, which was just a simple 2-ply, 95% cotton, 5% not nylon. It's masked the US.
US, is that you said?
Masktheus.com. 5% spandex. Mask the US.
Val.
As in the. US. No, US.com.
Masktheus.com.
Yeah. But so we started with the USA V2, which was just the plain no filter pocket, no nose wire, none of that. And then we made the USA V3, which you can see here, which included a filter pocket. We were actually in the middle of making the USA V4, which was going to have the nose piece. But what we learned is that factories just disappear in LA. So actually, like 2 weeks ago, our factory is now gone. They all left. So who knows where they're at and what they're doing, but we have to now use supplier masks, and when our stock depletes, it's pretty much over. Like, we don't sell that much anymore. Like, as far as like our sales.
You remind me a little bit of Ryan. I don't know Ryan, but I can tell you, anybody who knows who Ryan Moore is, this guy had a band and he started screen printing. And before you know it, he owns silkscreenprinting.com, he owns them all the great ones. Yeah. And Ryanet.com is a great website to buy supplies and so forth. But what really Ryan does better than anybody, he has thousands of videos on how to screen print and everything else.
You know something funny? So Ryan and I are tight now, but he's the one that taught me how to screen print. How was that?
Yeah, well, guess who taught me how to screen print through DVD? Ryan did.
Did he? Yeah, exactly.
For $20, I'll tell you what, his DVD is the greatest thing you can get at a trade show. But that, really, Hunter, not to keep bringing up your age, but how does two 25-year-olds and a 21-year-old figure out, hey, we're going to fly across the country, literally across from the East Coast to the West Coast. We're going to meet with some people and we're going to, create a factory and start manufacturing something we've never done before. The
reason we did it was for our employees. Like, our sales were so low. Like, it was so bad. And I set out at the beginning of this, like, we're a multi-million-dollar company and we had $5,000 in the bank. Like, that's the reality. And I refused to let anyone go. I was ready to cut my pay before I let anyone go. And because the people that work for us are just so important to me. They mean everything to me, as far as like, they make shit happen that I can't do on my own. And they care. And so, the reason we did this was for our employees. It sucks when you're in that position and it's like, man, I have to lay these people off. Like, that's the worst thing you ever have to do. For any leader, any boss, any manager. Like, it's the worst thing. So I was like, dude, we can't do that. So that's why we did it. That's why we built Mass US, because otherwise, quite frankly, it could have been over for us.
And as the owner, you feel like, again, what I love about our industry in general, I've always loved it, and this is why I decided to get in the decoration industry. One, we're always going to wear apparel. That's a fact. We're always going to wear clothes. That's never going to stop. But two, what I really like about the decoration industry is how many different ways you can make money. You can work B2B, B2C. You can drop ship fulfill. You can do contract, or in your case here, you started manufacturing. And there's just a lot of different ways you can utilize your skills, knowledge, equipment, and so forth to grow your business and also diversify it. Because not to say you had all your eggs in one basket before the pandemic. We all were pretty much in that same case. But by diversifying your revenue model, really your revenue routes, streams, whatever you want to call them, you really are reducing that risk of potentially having to shut down the business at any point. because when I first started using DecoNetwork software, I was studying marketing at Ohio State University, and I fell in love with the affiliate marketing model. Hey, you can have 500 sites, you can provide them to a client, you drop ship fulfill for them. And I've had several clients where, hey, every year we're doing 300, 500 grand a year. But before you know it, that same client finds somebody just like your business, and they start chasing a lower price. Yep. And I'll tell you what, I'm like you, Hunter. I'm not going to print for pennies. I don't seek everyone's business. If you're going to go chase that lower price, go ahead. But I can't have all my revenue tied in that one client. It is not a good business model, because that's their business. And that's where I think, why I really wanted you on this podcast is because obviously you do a lot of different things, and in a weird way, it takes, you're reducing risk by taking some risk, if that makes sense.
It's a lot of risk.
You don't know if something's going to work until you kind of try it yourself. I'm one, I'm a hands-on person. I kind of need to do something and fail at it sometimes, instead of letting somebody tell me, don't do it that way. It sounds stupid, but again, you sometimes have to learn. You have to learn from your mistakes.
And you have one thing too, like that's a big one.
And you mentioned playing soccer. Soccer is the best sport to play, by the way. One thing I learned, I listened recently to a baseball game, and it made a lot of sense to me. I never heard it this way, but to learn how to win, you first have to lose, if that makes sense. You have to experience, just like you have to make those mistakes to learn from them and grow. And something that you're also kind of proving, talking about right now is you're a leader of the business, and like your employees, it sounds like you view them as they're obviously team members. I always like to look at, hey, you're on a team with me. You don't work for me. You work with me on growing our company and so forth. So why do we pursue different revenue streams? 1, let's make more money. 2, diversify your revenue. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. You want to reduce your risk. Keep your staff busy throughout the year. You pretty much said it. You did things last year, not even as much for yourself, but the company isn't Hunter. The company is the team, and you didn't want to break apart the team. And you're going to do whatever it takes to keep the team in place.
I mean, these people have to feed themselves. They have to feed their families. They gotta, people have lives, man, and it sucks. But 100%, keep your staff busy.
You put yourself in your employee's shoes. Yeah. By the way, Hunter, what were you studying in college?
Graphic design, because I already knew how to do it. I didn't want to go. That's all. My parents, my dad was a cop, my mom's a teacher. No, I didn't have any, and no one was in business that I knew. I don't know how I came of this, to be honest.
You had the civil servants as parents. Hunter, I want to thank you for your input today. It was definitely great. It's amazing what all you've done at such a young age.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You got a bright future ahead of you. You are like a mini Ryan. You look a little bit like Ryan.
Right.
But gosh, what a crazy last year. And again, how the industry just, you never know where it's going to go. And I guarantee you in 5 years, you'll have some different revenue streams that you're not using now.
And I'm excited to show you guys about it. So, thanks, Zach. I really appreciate everything you do, and DecoNetwork as well. I think you guys are great, and I look forward to building our relationship.
Thanks, Hunter.